Welcome to the inaugural episode of the Portal Hunters Club. I'm your host, Drew Dondero, and with me today is Captain Obvious. We both hail from the great city of Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Awesome. So welcome everyone to the first episode of the show. You can chat with us live on the YouTube stream. And we've got a lot to get to today, so let's see. I guess let's start with an introduction to the show. So what we want to do here is sort of hang out and talk about Ingress, and we love audience participation. We'll have guests on the show. We'll talk about fun topics, hot button topics. We'll talk about just all sorts of stuff about Ingress. So today's topic is very, I guess, it's a very touchy subject for a lot of people, and that's the topic of Guardians. I thought we'd do that one first, just to have a little bit of fun. So, let's see, let's get right to it. So, Tony, do you have your Onyx Guardian?
Yes, I do.
And have you had multiple Guardians go to your Onyx?
I want to say probably eight have gone that far, and I still have one going at, I believe, 309 days.
Oh, nice. Okay. So, do you want to tell us a little bit about how you got your Guardians?
The first Guardian, I believe, was in a relatively small town in Illinois. I was out working, took a picture of the portal, because back then a lot of the portals didn't have pictures.
Right, yeah.
And I was into, taking a picture, submit the picture.
Mm-hmm.
And I captured that portal and ended up going 151 days.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
So I got lucky. Actually was, taken down.
Yeah. So I got mine actually in the city of Cedarburg.
I remember this one.
Well, okay, so there are multiples. There was, and I think you and Dan helped me out a lot.
It was actually Triple Deuce.
Oh, okay, yeah.
He helped save it.
Yes. So I had one that was... There was a park in town, and this was when I was living in Milwaukee area, and people would come. It was like, it was in a park that was sort of a little bit farther away, and it was off the main drag, and so people didn't really go there first. There was the Adelaide Horn first. Oh, there was one on the south. Which one was that? I can't remember which one. There was a couple. First? There was Adelaide Horn Park, yep. And that one was rescued a couple of times. And then there was that Brewery Works, yes. Which is by the Boy Scout Park.
Which is all the way down in a
yes, and it's like an annoying road you have to go down. And there was a couple times where some notable Enlightened players were driving through, blowing up stuff in town. And yeah, they totally missed that one. Because they didn't want to get out of the car.
Too far out, right?
Right,
it's
yeah.
Down the road.
You have to make a little bit of a turn and do like a wide turn to get out of there. It was so annoying to go, a block over that they didn't end up getting that one. So they did end up getting that one, and then the final one was another park on the other.
I thought you got Boy Scout Park.
No, this was it was I forget the name of the park.
There's a lot of parks in Cedarburg. And a lot of them are just plain old residential areas where you have to walk to the center of the park to get to the portal.
Right, yeah, and no one wants to get out of the car.
Right, no one's getting
especially
out of the car.
in snow.
Right.
This is like the perfect time to have it going. So,
Yep.
Hey, good morning, everyone in the chat. Feel free to chat with us live as we talk about our hot button issue of Guardians. So I had that park in Cedarburg, and that one, it was taken out. Yeah, like you said, Triple Do saved it a couple times. I know General Obvious saved it a couple times, and that one, it died like a couple hours after it flipped. So I think someone got the message and like didn't get out quick enough to go get it or something. So so I finally got my Onyx Guardian, and that was awesome. And then Blue Baron 44 also got his Onyx Guardian from the same portal. They like didn't either they didn't know him or they didn't really know what was going on, and so they ended up not hitting that one at all. Really, I think he still has it probably.
Possible.
Yeah, no one really goes on that side of town. So so one of the things about this show is we have our phone line, which is 414-207-6278. And you can call that, leave us a voicemail. We can play your voicemail on the air and talk about what you'd like to talk about. Oh, we got a lot of people from different parts. Southern Maine is checking in. Southeastern Wisconsin, obviously. Awesome. And Resistance, yes. Well, this is a Resistance slanted show. I'm not gonna dance around the issue there. So we love Resistance players calling in. We love talking to them. We'll talk about what you guys want to talk about. This is going to be an awesome show. So so phone number 414-207-6278. We don't have the capability of doing live call-ins now, but eventually we will. And I have something special planned for live call-in stuff, so that'll be cool. We also have our email, and the email is portalhunter@resradio.net. Again, that's portalhunter@resradio.net. You can send us an email and talk about our question of the week, which this week was talking about Guardians. How did you get your Guardian? Tell us a story about your Guardian. And so that's and we have Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Google Plus. So we got all those things going on, and you can interact with us on social media there, and we'll be posting links to the shows and everything there. So tell us a little bit. Let's get into sort of an interview here. So tell us a little bit about how you got started in Ingress.
A friend of mine, Bad Eye 99, had introduced me to the game early on. Not quite early enough to get that beautiful, was it the Pioneer badge?
Oh
have that.
It was the I forget. I know which one you're talking about. Yeah.
So I'm not quite that long, but pretty darn close. Living in Saukville, there wasn't a whole lot of portals. I submitted a few, got some, they were allowed, and then I had two guys I was battling a lot, so I got into it. I had a Beatnik Poe, who was a founder badge owner, and then Stellan, who moved to Hawaii, from what I've heard.
Oh, really? Yeah. I remember that because he would take Cedarburg too, and he was another one that would poke around.
He poked around. He was a port. It seemed like he was a port resident, or he did a carpool out of port, because there was always capturing the portal by the. And a funny story of Guardians. He had a portal in Grafton Water Tower North.
Oh, yeah.
It's technically a private property, and I wasn't able to do it, but Triple Deuce went and eradicated it before it hit 150 days.
Yeah.
So the sorry guy, I said, this is why I know he's in Hawaii. I messaged him. I said, "How you doing in Hawaii?" Or I said, "How you doing?" He's like, "Oh, I'm working in Hawaii now." Yeah, that was at 130 days. I asked him about that.
Okay, yeah. So what got you into the game? Like, how did you start?
Well, more or less, it was it was a reason to go places. See, I like to go places, but I'd like to have an objective.
Right. Okay.
So I'm not just gonna bike aimlessly around Saukville.
You like biking.
I'm gonna bike around Saukville, but I'm gonna play Ingress while I bike.
Mm-hmm.
And I had it set up where I was doing laps around the Saukville just to farm gear.
Yeah.
Well, Generally Obvious was kind of getting on my ass about, hey, come down to Cedarburg, get your 8 on Cedarburg, and he'll swear this. I refused.
Mm-hmm.
I said I'll go build the 3rd, but I won't go Cedarburg. And then finally we got the proper nice left hand turn loop, and we get that farm built up, and it's beautiful. That's my favorite part of the game is building the farms and helping other people get gear. Mm-hmm. Is more of the farming
community
and the community
meeting
of
people,
of building, and not necessarily blowing shit up, which is great.
Yeah,
but the building and helping others take the gear from Cedarburg and go everywhere.
Yeah,
that's what I like to know that people are coming from Oconomowoc, Dave and Pam, and they're going back and they're taking care of their area. Mm-hmm. Yeah. They're helping us, we're helping them.
Yeah,
it's community.
Yeah, and that's kind of why I started this show too, is because you got people all around the world that, especially resistance agents that, want to hang out and chat about Ingress with people and meet people and, do all that kind of stuff. And that's the part of the game that I like the most too, is the community aspect. Yes. So, yeah, it's cool. So one of the things about the show is we do have the voicemail line. Again, 414-207-6278. You can drop us a line. So we do have some voicemails from this question. So let's play a couple of these voicemails here for a second.
Hey, Drew. Let me tell you about my guardian here. So cheater? Yeah. Took that out recently. Didn't have the gall to go out there and get it. But for 284 days, that thing was a level 8 and held 1 link. So both my longest time link held and my longest time portal held match up days. Take care.
That was War Criminal, by the way. A Fox and Fox, my guardian, I seeded the second day I was playing accidentally before I knew how to play with 2 level 1 resonators. And someone else recharged it for 264 days before they let it die. So I onyxed accidentally. How about you, Claire?
Let's see. We randomly drove to some town we had never heard of because we saw that they had a portal over to the right. And my portal died at 260 days because I forgot to charge it.
And that's clue there. And I hope you're having a great show. Bye.
Awesome. Well, yeah, I think so. War Criminal had a portal that he had the portal and the longest link on it, and I had one that was similar to that. It ended up not being my guardian, but I threw a link off that portal and it just stayed, and you keep recharging it or whatever. So that's kind of cool. And then Fox and Socks forgetting to recharge. I think I've come close to that once. I think someone saved my guardian once. There was one day where I think I forgot to charge it, and it eventually came back up. So let's see. We got another voicemail here.
This is the Red 7, and my guardian portal that made it to 202 days was my desk portal at work. Every single week on Tuesday at 10 a.m., somebody else who worked at the same office, who was an enlightened player, would swing by and hit it with bursters, but never, ever, 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 ever managed to take it out. And I always knew that they were coming because they had a weekly meeting, and even though it was perfectly accessible to an enlightened player, they never bothered to actually finish the job. So I managed to get my Onyx Guardian and make it all the way to 202 days before I let the thing die. And that's how I got my Guardian.
Awesome. Well, I've never had a desk portal myself. Have you ever had a desk portal?
Well, yes.
Okay.
So my job consists of going to gas stations and testing the functionality of their tank monitoring equipment. So
you're
some
all
days
over
I
it.
so
Okay.
some days
Yeah,
I
some
do
days you got
have
one, some days okay.
an actual a desk portal. I will personally what I do is I like to have 4 gear just so I have 4 resonators.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll level it up to 4. Put a multi-hack and a heat sink on it. When I'm doing paperwork, I will glyph the shit out of it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting glyph points. You will get some good gear. You do not realize that glyphing a 4 will get you a Lawson. Will get you some other, even an ADA at sometimes.
I've noticed that a lot. Some of the gear outputs from the glyphing. I mean, obviously you get more gear automatically, but it's weird because sometimes you set up like a whole farm of 8 portals and you're getting like 1 resonator, 2 bursters,
right? And resonators.
But if you set up like a 5 or a 6 or even a 4, you're getting
glyphing it,
shields and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's interesting how that works out. So
typically I tap hack, but when we set up certain areas, I'll glyph. So I do have my glyph badge. Every badge is a badge of honor.
Yeah. I've never had a desk portal, but one day I hope to.
Right.
It definitely helps with the gear farming, I'm sure.
Well, and the Sojourner.
Yes.
Because unless you don't go to work.
That's
I finally got it.
Oh, nice.
I finally got it. I got 370 some odd days, so it's a pain. Once I was up at like 209 and I forgot one day. Yeah. One day, boom, 209. Now you think about it, 209 days to get back to where I was. It's like
another 3/4 of a year. And there was one day where I had to. It's usually around the holidays where it gets tricky,
right?
Because your schedule gets a little bit irregular.
I don't have to work for a couple of days,
right? Yep, yeah. So, so I've never had a desk portal, but I really want one. But like the Red 7, my Guardian portal was one that would it was in range of bursters, and they kept tapping away at it, but they never actually turned the corner to go over and kill it. So, all right, we got a couple more voicemails here. Let's play this one.
Hi, this is the Real Bink. I'm from Portsmouth, New Hampshire. I'm going to tell you about my first Guardians, for which I broke every rule pretty much. I deployed fully on a cluster of portals on a mission, and for some reason they survived. Praise Jesus. Thank you. Bye-bye.
It's weird. So, the Real Mink, she had hers, it was a cluster of portals that she randomly got on a mission. And sometimes that just happens that way, where you get, and then other people are recharging it or something, or, you just happen to hit like a normal farm area, or it's weird. It's how sometimes they're just like, the players of that town they know the certain ones that people try and go for, and you get someone from out of town that comes in and takes stuff, and they're like, well, no one ever goes to this side of town ever.
They just go through.
Right, yeah.
They're just, I got this, and that's the time. It's a time thing sometimes.
Yeah, out-of-towners go on missions and stuff in areas of town where there's either not an active player, or it's not an area that's very contested, so... Yeah, and actually, she had another one. Let's play this voicemail.
Hey, this is Agent Blank.
That's the wrong one.
Hi again, this is the Real Mink from Portsmouth, New Hampshire again, and I thought I should probably mention my second Guardian, which was the public library in my small, dense city that nobody touched for like 240 days until a scraper got it, and I thought that was hilarious. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Well, thank you for calling in again, the Real Mink and the Red 7 and War Criminal and Fox and Socks. We have one more. But yeah, again, she had another one that was a portal that she grabbed. No one ended up hitting it, and that was that. So here's another one. Let's play this for you.
Hey, this is Agent Blank checking in from the fire station here. I believe the topic for the evening was Guardian portals. Had 2 so far that didn't end up on my own terms. One was a little gazebo that got hit at 289 days, and then the second was a water tower that got whacked at 752 days, both by new players just out looking for stuff. the third I have still going at 776 days at a non-disclosed church somewhere outside of the current state I'm in. That's all I can say on that. Thanks.
Well, thank you, Blank, for calling in. And yes, he's had some for over 700 days. That's pretty impressive. And it's possible. It's, there's some that people just miss or they look over or,
The boonies.
Yeah, it's some of those. And some of those you need like a BGAN, the
Right.
satellite
Yeah,
modem, or you need like...
I've heard the using a metal plate or a bowl
Yeah.
to try to improve
Yeah.
cellular reception.
I've used a BGAN once, and it was really interesting. It's like the amount of data, we had like 12 megabytes of data or something. It was ridiculously low. So the router on there was set up specially and all this stuff, and it's like...
Sounds like a pain.
Yeah, you have to have someone that kind of knows what they're doing for that kind of stuff. So, but yeah, it was interesting. So, there's a question in the chat.
All right, questions.
What do you think of XFCC cross-faction? I haven't had much dealings with them, but I think it's good to have, cross-faction relations.
It is good to have cross-faction relations, but I know personally, and I know from Drew's interactions with some of them, we do have cross-factions.
Yes.
Mind you, we have the NL 1331 show up, but a lot of them have personal animosity towards us.
Yeah.
And they don't. It's weird, and a lot of the players that are on the other team, we wouldn't even want them on our team in some cases just because of their attitudes.
Yeah,
it's odd. It seems like we have an odd dynamic in our area.
There's definitely one thing I've noticed about this game is there's definitely a distinct, the attitudes and the personalities of the different. It's very different. It's kind of interesting to see, and it's weird because it's a global game and the community sort of developed over time, but the general stereotypes of each team sort of like all developed at the same time. Like every resistance team is very similar around the world. I don't know how it happened like that, and at least to me, every enlightened team seems very similar around the world. It's kind of it's interesting, but it's good to have the channels open. Yeah, I think it's good to have those.
Absolutely. Right. There has to be a cross. At least someone in their area. Like I know you have connections or with the cross faction hangout, where if there's something going on, it can be spoken of in there and dealt with, and that has to that is a part of the game, which is necessary.
Yeah.
I prefer to stay out. I won't even do a cross faction hangout personally. Just because of OPSEC.
Well, and sometimes
I don't want to be accused of you're buddy with him. Hey, I ran into him once, type thing.
Sometimes players on their own teams want to just stick with their own people, or they don't even want to talk to other people. We've had players.
Yeah, there's a lot of players that
aren't
hang out. They don't do nothing. And some of them are pokey players.
Yeah,
they just happen to play Ingress when they feel like recapturing Cedarburg.
Awesome. So we do have a question for next week. Our question for next week is going to be, how did you get into the game and how did you choose your team? So I guess it's kind of two questions a week, but I want to know what got you into Ingress initially and how did you choose your team? So, and again, the email is portalhunter@resradio.net. And the phone number is 414-207-6278. Leave us a voicemail for next week and we'll play it on the show. So how I got started in the game is a friend of mine. I used to listen to podcasts a lot. A friend of mine said, you're going to be so into this game. He got a beta invite and like way early back. And so I started playing, but I didn't play with the team. I just kind of played on my own in the neighborhood and everything. And then eventually I got invited to a farm and, we played with a couple of other people. And I noticed we have some pretty awesome players on our team. So we do farm events and we do all that kind of stuff. And and how did I choose the resistance was because he was resistance and he said, hey, you gotta, if we can maybe at some point work together. So you want to be on the same team with people because it's more fun. So yeah, so definitely call us in. Portal Hunter ResRadio at resradio.net. The phone number is 414-207-6278. Leave us a voicemail. You can also we have Facebook, we have Twitter, we have Instagram, we have Google Plus, and so you can follow us on all those, and we'll be posting stuff on there. And to go along with the how did you get into the game and how did you choose your team, next week we'll be going into a little bit of the history of Ingress itself and how did it begin, how did it, let's dive a little bit deeper into how the whole game got started, because there's a couple of players on our local team. They had to solve puzzles and things, and do all that kind of
is
stuff.
one of them, wasn't
yes,
it?
yeah. Who you never think
Right.
would think would be.
I watched
one of these.
and you have to go onto YouTube. It's odd, and this is how I tell people about the game. When it was introduced at Comic-Con in was 2011, 2010.
I think something like that. Yeah.
A guy came in the room and just said, "I see portals. I see
Yeah,
portals,"
yeah.
and left.
Yep.
That was it.
Yep.
You know, that made people go, "What is going
Yeah,
on?"
like,
You know,
yeah.
it wasn't really like, "Hey, this is a new game."
Right.
Nobody even knew it was a new game.
Right, yeah. They had the YouTube videos, and you
Yeah.
had to kind of solve, and then eventually it came to, yeah. So we'll be getting into a little more of that. We'll talk about old Anomaly series and stuff. And yeah, so thanks for joining us for our inaugural episode. This has been an interesting first episode. You know, it's my first crack at live streaming, so it's been interesting.
It has.
So,
Well, I was also going to mention we were talking about the Guardians.
oh yeah, okay.
Me and a few other people, we charge a lot. Well, I also know that you connect 3 portals, you get a field.
Mm-hmm.
Even though there's no badge for it, they do accrue.
Yes.
And I have 156 days on a field and on a link.
So you have like a Guardian field.
So I have I have had a Guardian field.
Nice.
And actually, you guys were out farming. This is one of those things. When I get sent out of town, some of those days they had planned a farm.
Okay.
And you guys are going to do a farm build, and I'm stuck in Abbotsford, Wisconsin. I got my mountain bike, but I got enough gear that I can capture all of the town.
Mm-hmm.
Captured it all, linked it all. I kept that up for 90 days. My second Guardian was in Abbotsford.
Oh, cool.
The only reason it went down was because there was an anomaly in Minneapolis.
Oh,
and they were driving through and happened to capture it. Yeah.
Awesome.
It was a sad, sad day.
Awesome. Well, again, thank you all for joining us on our first episode of the show. Remember to get a hold of us for our question of next week. How did you get into the game, and how did you choose your team? Again, thank you everyone for joining, and we will see you next week.